I think it is important to not do an event for the sake of doing an event. And that's something that I'm sharing even right now internally with our groups. It's like, we're not pushing to do an event because we've done that in the past or we need to do it. And some of the events that we've worked on too, I'll be like, okay, this hit the mark, this did not, we were off here. How can we fix that as we move forward?
Tom Brady, Steph Curry, Kelly O'Hara, the U.S. women's gymnastics team, Jordan Spieth. What unites them all is they're not just Americans. They rock Under Armour for a living, and that's pretty cool. And we're joined today by the head of Experiential Marketing at Under Armour, Beth Malafa.
Hi, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
It's so good to see you again. I mean, this is what I love about all this. Like, you and I have been live together for just under 3 hours. I know that because an all-star game is 3 hours long.
True.
Right.
True.
And you were Under Armour. I believe I was in your box actually out in San Diego. It was in 2016 when the American League won for like the 44th consecutive time, 4-2. And I don't know if you remember this. This is like the thing that I remember. First of all, you were so cool. But
thank you, Aaron.
No, you were like, seriously, and you had put on your event and we were working with Major League Baseball on putting on the PR side of the event. But what I remember the most, and I don't know if you remember this, is I had brought my buddy and he didn't know that Kevin Plank was sitting pretty much next to him. And I'm like, I kept turning to him like, I don't think he knows that's Kevin. Do you remember that part of it at all?
I do. That was a really fun all-star game out in San Diego and in a really cool park. Kevin is it's really nice because he's super low key. And he had the family there too on that one. I think James was shagging balls during the stuff. So, that was the fun one for sure. It was, and you're right. A lot of times he's just like a very down to earth, unassuming, and you can go up and have a conversation with him just like we are right now.
Well, unassuming would not be the first word that comes to mind. Like I'm very aware of who he is. And I just was like, wow, my friend doesn't know. This is going to be fun. Yeah. Approachable is a great word choice. So by the way, like the theme for this episode for me is, it does start with Kevin and it blends into you and you'll see why, is like this episode will very much remind me of home. I am a Potomac, Maryland kid. I grew up rooting for all of those teams over there. Shows you I'm loyal. We won't go into that, but like rooting for the Terps and the Commanders now. I'm trying to even say that word. But then my mom's side is from Ohio. She's from Akron. She's a Buckeye. Now you see where I'm going with this. So
you're speaking my language, OH to your mom.
Yeah, she'd be right there. She'd be the first to be like, IO. She'd be right on it. So let's talk Chase Young for a second. Like, where is he on a scale from 1 to 10 for you? You're a huge Chase Young guy? Because he's a Buckeye. He's in the area now.
Yeah. I mean, that's super exciting. I remember when actually I had a friend who was there and they drafted him. I was like, this is really exciting. But I believe he's from this area as too originally. So it's always good to get Buckeyes, but like it's almost like that hybrid. Because I'm a little bit of a hybrid too. I'm from Ohio. I was here and then I went back to Ohio and now I'm back. So I've kind of got a bit of a hybrid with the Mid-Atlantic region as well. But yeah, my heart probably does lie a lot in Buckeye roots in Ohio.
So yeah, let's unpack that a little bit. So you're from Ohio. Are you from Akron or where are you from?
Cleveland originally, but grew up more closer near Dayton. My dad worked for the Air Force Base there at Wright-Patt down in Dayton. And then out of college, I went and worked for the Ravens. So starting there, I was there and did a lot of actually production, and I was a radio television major. But I also, a lot of my internships were promotion based. So I went the fan experience promotion route there at the Ravens. And then I went to the Browns. And most people are like, did you do it in that order, Ravens and then Browns? I'm like, yes, but I did grow up a Browns fan. I went to the Browns and oversaw events and game day entertainment, and then went to Ohio State. and directed football game day, oversaw a bunch of like sports like hockey, lacrosse, actually was in charge of community relations there for 36 sports. And then I've been at UA now for almost 10 years.
That's amazing. Let's hear. Most of my friends were not directing 36 sports in college. I'm just gonna. I remember seeing them between the hours of like 11 p.m. and 3 a.m., which is when you were probably sleeping. Not that you didn't have a good time either. By the way, I'm a television radio major. I went to school in upstate New York, Ithaca College.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was just like I am a hands-on learner. So like when I finally got to that school and you taught me how to be a director, you taught me how to like shoot a camera or back then, gosh, now I'm dating myself, splice editing films with actual literal film, like how awesome was that? Like amazing opportunity.
Amazing. And it was so great for us. Like, so when I was at the Ravens, I got to help a lot with the production. We started a TV show. Oh, I was, of course, very, very junior. I didn't start it, but I got to help support it. And it was cool because I got to make some really great relationships. So like Sage Steele, who now is with ESPN, she was one of our people that was our host. So I got to know, and still, I absolutely adore Sage. She's amazing. But like was really great about like teaching and learning and helping understand that side of the business. And I think the hands-on approach, like you said, is just, you can't like put a price on that. And that's a really cool thing with that major. They didn't have sports marketing majors when I was in college. That was new since I've been out of college. Now everyone's going and doing that. But this was like, I was specifically sports broadcasting. I did we had like our own little sports center every night and stuff that we did. So I got to do that. And I remember was challenged young because I grew up always knowing and carrying my own camera, my tripod, going to football practice. And they'd be like, wait a second, before we do an interview, we need to quiz you to make sure we know what's going on. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Let's have at it. Yeah. So
football has been my life, or was in my life for a long, long time.
Yeah. Like talk like how, why, like were you just at the age of 6, you just were passionate about the misery of the Browns back then? Like, will they finally win?
When I was young, we were not so bad. I mean, Bernie Kosar and year at Steph years, there was we made a lot of playoffs, a lot. I was not a Broncos fan. We lost a lot to the Broncos when I was young. From a young age, I'm a 1 of 5, and sports. My mom was like, we all played sports because she's like, if you're tired, you're not fighting. So she made us play sports. I didn't play football, but siblings did, and my brother and stuff did. And I always just loved it. So from a young age, I told her I wanted to work in the NFL or I wanted to work for the Olympics. It was something that was always drawn to. I think it's a lot about what I love doing, the passion. Like that's why I love college too. People do it for the passion. They love the sport. And then there's so much you can learn from it, the ups, the downs, there's so many teachings that you can learn from working within the sports world. And it became like family too. Like all those teams were like families. They were small groups. It's not big corporations when you're working for a team. You're only like 150 people. I know it's a lot bigger now, but it's small. So you're very tight knit and go through a lot of ups and downs together, a lot of hours.
So where were you in the order? You said there's 5 of you. Like, were you right smack in the middle, oldest, youngest? Where were you?
3. I'm 3 of 5.
And what were the age differences from top to bottom?
Yeah. So that is like an interesting dynamic with that. So I have an older sister. She's like almost 10 years older than me. We have the same parents. So it's like the same family, but then my brother is 3.5 older. And then the last 3 of us are like boom, boom, boom. So it's like me, and then my sister right below me is 14 months. And then sister right below me is like 18 months. So it was sort of a little bit like she graduated from high school when I was in 2nd grade. So it was kind of like when she came, I was sort of an oldest, but then when we were all together, I was a middle. So there was like that whole dynamic going on.
I'm just guessing here too, like by the time you sort of bring the next round of children, we'll just call it, right? So like, how tired were your parents? Like, were they like, just figure it out at this point? Or were they on it?
Oh, I think my mom, I credit my mom. She's the one who like gave, I think, us so much of the passion and drive of what we did. I didn't grow up, my family didn't have a lot of money. So she's always like, you can do anything you want. You can do anything you put your mind to. We put our own selves through school. I put my own self through my like MBA program. And I think that passion of like, just pushing yourself, being the best you can, comes definitely from my mom. She'd be like, I mean, I remember I was a cross country runner, and like I said, we didn't have a lot of money. And one of the girls on the team had a lot, and I was the fastest girl on the team. And her mom told her she beat me. She got a new car. And so I went to my mom. I didn't even have a car. Like was lucky if my parents let me drive their car around. And I was like, Mom, she said that her mom would buy her a new car. And she's like, well, then don't let her beat you. She wasn't like, I'm going to offer. I was like, where's my car? She's like, don't let her beat you. I was like, all right, yeah, I'm not going to let her beat me. But it wasn't like my mom was offering a car. She's like, well, you better not let her beat you then. And so I was like, yeah, good point. So I think that kind of always like sticks in my head as like ways to like,
And
she never beat me. No, she never beat me. She never beat me. But I was kind of like, wait, where's mine? And my mom's like, that's not how life works all the time. Sometimes, things aren't. She's like, life's not fair. Don't let her beat you.
So some people know this, most people don't. One of the recent honors I've been able to work on is Landon Donovan's memoir. And for me, when I was a little boy, if I was on a soccer field, I was happy. Like that was my place. And so the idea of the world has decided to connect Landon and I, and he's an amazing guy. I'm always skeptical when somebody says he's a great soccer player and a better human. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, okay, yeah. Right. Let's see this.
He's an amazing soccer player. Yeah.
Off the charts. And didn't come from a lot of money, was a runner. Like he could just run all day. And he has a story in his middle school called the Moore Mile that like nobody thought he would win. Of course, chip on his shoulder, super competitive. And he takes it, he wins it. And it just reminds me of that. Like, and that's life, right? Like life is a marathon. It isn't a sprint. And I guess you're sort of set up for that too. But by the way, I love this quote from you, and curious to hear, because running is kind of an individual sport, but you're a team player, right? Like when I think about Under Armour, and I think football, I do think baseball, I think basketball, and you've said teamwork is at the forefront of my management style. And I believe we accomplish more together than separately. And like, this is front and center on your LinkedIn page. It's such a good quote. Like, is this what happens when you don't have a choice? You're part of a starting five growing up, or was it learned over time with mentors and once you're in the business world?
Yeah, I've had some amazing mentors in my career for sure. And I mean, some really tough, but at times I think growing that skin, growing that like almost like coating over you has been really good for me. I also like am in the business of what I put on when we put on an event, it is not me putting on an event. There are hundreds, like the event I was just at over the weekend, I had a friend in and she was doing something and she's like, is there this many people usually around? I'm like, yeah, I mean, security, product, social media. I mean, we probably had 100+ people there, but it's like, you need those people to do it. So any one person who is, goes at it thinking that they're rocking it by themselves has, I think a little bit of humility is needed. The person who's cleaning the bathrooms or bringing out the food, the catering, all those people make up the event. And I think it goes back to probably a little bit like you're saying with Landon, probably a little bit of my humble beginnings. Like you need to appreciate the janitor. You need to appreciate the catering service waiter. I mean, I bartended and waitressed all through college. Like that, those are the people who are also like contributing to the success of this. And I think how you treat them then becomes like how the outcome can be. Like you can all have a miserable time. That shows up for people. Like the beauty of my job is we get an opportunity to give people, like you said, if it's a game or something, 3 hours. If you're attending an hour, we give them the opportunity to like relieve their problems, come, enjoy, and just experience things. Like you said, the opportunity we had together in San Diego. That's a really special gift I don't take lightly. And it's not something that can be done alone. There is a team of people that need to be put together. And that mindset of going in as a team is what I like to foster with the people I work with, because there's no one person that can just take it and leave it and run on your own. And I challenge any person to show me if you've done something completely on your own. I would like to see the success of how that came out.
Yeah, well, look, this might come off the wrong way, and I'll explain what I mean. I mean, I almost feel like we've over indexed on hustle and hard work. No doubt. Like that's almost like table stakes. Like if you can't work
Right.
hard, but I almost think we've almost under indexed on empathy. Like to your point, like you said, maybe it does have something to do with when you step back and look at the journey that you've been on and you're putting on this event and people can escape for a few hours and there's smiles and there's joy and there's pictures. You know, maybe the runner who's getting a car if they win doesn't can't really relate to that life, can't really has never had the opportunity to step into that life. And
Yeah.
I don't want to put that person in a box either or vilify
Right.
that human, right? But there is some empathy to like putting things in perspective fast. And maybe you can share what event were you at? What were you doing? Give the listeners a little bit about what it means to be head of experiential marketing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's so many. There's probably two that I think of like the most. And the one of the biggest ones was, this one was at the Browns, but I think it goes to one, really giving people a chance to like see who you are, and what you can do for them. And, I remember it was, the beginning of a game it was a Browns game. So again, we had a lot of losses. So this wasn't crying tears of sadness. These were tears of like, I think maybe being proud, but my big brother was standing next to me and I always looked up and emulate him. I still were dear friends to this day. And, I look over and he has tears in his eyes. Like it's a full 100-yard flag fly over, the national anthem's playing. And I think that emotion that we can spark in what we do from like an event and an experiential is so powerful that I almost don't know many things that can touch it. And it makes all the hours and work go into it. And so I always look at that as one of my proudest moments. It was nothing, it wasn't a Kevin Plank, it wasn't the president of the United States and all these really important persons. It was someone who was really important to me, my brother. And that was really cool to see. And other one I really loved that is kind of comes down to like how we can help others is when we were doing the Rio Olympics. We were really lucky. We were able to get in market like 2 years ahead of time and really have a chance to get to know the atmosphere and the people we're going to be working with. And in Brazil, there's such disparity. Like you have the very, very wealthy and you have the extreme poor, like in the favelas and stuff. And I mean, such poverty. Again, you spoke about it. We live here in Baltimore. We see that a lot. But this poverty and level of people who had nothing was just a new low. And so we were able to like set up these gyms on the beach free of charge for people to come. And then we offered classes 2 times a day. And so anyone could do it. And you can walk in, we gave you gear. We had these opportunities on the beaches. And it was really cool because of course it was a little bit of strategic behind there was some grassroots marketing and getting into the region. But to see people like work out from their mental standpoint, health, and you didn't have to be wealthy. You didn't have to have the money. We were offering these classes and that was really cool to me that we were able to make some impact in people's lives just by putting them on like the path of like health and wellness. And I'm so like really proud of it, of those moments and what we were able to do there, from like getting to see the great Michael Phelps race and have him and do all those things. That was really cool.
Also from Maryland, got to give him a shout out too, right? So let me just make sure I acknowledge that like we're 15 minutes in here and like what I heard is what Beth wants to do in her life is she wants to work in the NFL and she wants to work in the Olympics. And if I'm following and you're tracking it home, I believe that's 2 checked boxes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I really have. I've been very fortunate. I've gotten to work in 2 venues. The 2 areas that I really did from a young age, grew up watching and wanting to work with.
All right. So has that list expanded since?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always like, now I think it's like pushing it. So what I tried to do with my team is like, I think it's really interesting. In COVID, we found ways to pivot to like virtual world. Now everyone's like the hybrid, and I get all that. But what I want to know is what can we push to be even different and beyond. And so I'm really pushing myself, my team to like look in places that we wouldn't necessarily look. Like we're going to art gallery openings and of course you see the festivals and all that, but like how can we take some of these different approaches and build them into some experiential moments that are new, innovative, pushing the envelope a little bit. That's a great thing about UA is we're always like have an opportunity to push beyond. And you're not going to get, yeah, sometimes they'd be like, that maybe was a little bit of a miss, but I'd rather someone tell me it's a little bit of a miss and we're pushing instead of like sitting on like what we did in 2019. So that's a big area for me is it's continuing to like push and find some new ways to innovate and bring things to life for people in the event and experiential realm.
Well, look, I think this is sort of a Captain Obvious comment, but like undeniably we're like ready to go. Like get me out of here. Like get me into some experiential magic. Like let me see some spaces. I'm based in San Diego. Comic-Con was here a few weeks ago. Walking around there, to be if I'm like brutally honest, it was both awesome to see that it was back and like also slightly terrifying to see that many people in one place after multiple years living in Zoom boxes. But I digress. Like, no doubt, like, give me like Experiential's back. It is a great time to be you because we're craving that escapism. And talk to me a little bit about like if I could have access to your calendar, how bad is it? Like, how many events are you a part of a year? Like, how much traveling are you doing?
Yeah, I think that's a really good call. So I love that you share like the Comic Cons and all that because that is, I myself too, sometimes I came back from the airport. I was telling you before we started, like, and when I flew out, it wasn't so bad, but coming back in, it was so crowded. And I'm for myself, I was like, whoa, this is like nuts. And I had to take a step back and like, wow, I'm like, this is a lot of people here right now. And all moving, all bustling, hustling, which is cool, but it took me a moment to set back. One thing that we are looking to do is pause. I know that this sounds strange because I'm like, we're pushing. But we've gotten so many people wanting to push, so many people wanting new things. I think it is important to not do an event for the sake of doing an event. And that's something that I'm sharing even right now internally with our groups. It's like, we're not pushing to do an event because we've done that in the past or we need to do it. And some of the events that we've worked on too, I'll be like, okay, this hit the mark. This did not, we were off here. How can we fix that as we move forward? We are experiencing a bit of like influx on like travel. I was just on the road for 2 weeks in a row, have some upcoming travel, quite a bit, but I'm also, as we start for the remainder of 22 and heading into 23, as we're building out our calendar, we are pausing and being like, does this make sense? Does this align with our mission and goals from a brand perspective? Because what you'll see, and I think this is what I'm seeing is, I think you mentioned it, is I'm seeing people attend things, but I'm not seeing the level and quality maybe that was there before. And I think it's just because people are like, okay, go. And everyone's like, well, now we've got to find venues and I've got to find this. And with inflation costs and supply chain, everyone's all over trying to even just source materials. So I'm eager for us to keep moving and innovating, but I want to be cautious in how like we're bringing that to life. So my calendar's not pretty now, but I'm trying to get it better.
I think it's kind of a little like the restaurant industry, right? Like,
so true.
Like you go out and if you're not careful, look, I'll be the first one to say, great process is invisible. Great process is invisible. If you're on a plane and you can you hear the cart clinking into every elbow and chair and it sort of interrupts you, not great process. And I think that's what's happened in the restaurant business now because I don't envy it, but they're short staffed and like people are doing double time and you start to sort of recognize the cracks. And so I like where your head's at. Like, don't do an event just to do an event. Like if you're going to be short staffed, like we need to almost not get into this robotic behavior of just, well, we did it last year, so we should do it this year. And if there is a pie chart of your time, what percent of your time is challenging or nudging the team to keep the event truly special versus a creative team is coming up with the idea. Now you're now in the execution meets production arena. What's the blend look like for you and the team?
I love this question. This is like super crazy important for me. So I made it one of our goals. So I cascaded it down to like all of our team members as one of our goals. I'd like to say that we were able to alleviate and give more time to it, but day-to-day business with meetings and stuff like just overtake things. So I would like to be like 25% of our time. I don't think it's that high, but it is a goal of ours. Percentage wise, I'm going to say we've done things as a team. I've done things on our teams to help implement these. Like we have monthly lunch and learns where we're all pushing each other and we sit together, we share webinars. But that's not like moving the needle. To actually sit and be creative, you do have to like block time. And I was reading something the other day where, of course you've got like, you look at your calendar and you're like, oh man, freaking 9 to 5. I mean, I had meetings starting at 8:30 on a Monday today after I was traveling all weekend. I'm like, who put this on my meeting for 8:30? But I I think that it's a priority. So I've made them basically like block times in their calendars, whether it's biweekly, some do it weekly, to keep pushing and innovating. Because if we don't do that, we're all doing ourselves a huge disservice. And there are areas, I think, like the next step to that is like the recap. Like you mentioned it yourself, like I think we missed the mark. A lot of times people just let that blow past an event because you're on to the next one. I think it is important to stop, pause, and be like, okay, how can we fix that? Or how did we miss the mark there? What can we do to continue to innovate? And a lot of times I think learnings come from those recaps, that people so quickly want to like pass through those analytics and data, but taking the time to like evaluate that is really important as you move forward.
All right, so let's go take one full event then. Like what percent is, all right, let's bring some magic. That's like 20, 25%. What is the activation itself or the production itself? What is and maybe this is perfect world, you can pivot, but like the mortem, the post-mortem, what the learning opportunity, like give me the percentages.
So I think a lot of the logistical planning, it's going to be a big chunk of your time. You're spending at least 50% with like, just, I mean, for us internally, like all the players getting like the product team on board, like the social, the comms, sports marketing, whomever this event is revolving around, train or whatever department is, that's at least like all those meetings, the logistical layout, site venues, building out that, like the run a show is a good, I'd say, probably like, I'd say almost like 60% of our time. I would like to say this last one we did came out towards the lower end, and I was pushing more because I caught on towards the end of it. But I was like, all right, stop. I like literally stopped I'm like, stop. Where's my wow moment? I like halt to the process. Like, where's my wow moment? Just give me one. I'm like, we should be having more than one during this, but give me one. So we did. We stopped, we paused, and had some good meetings on like what we could do to elevate and bring like some wow things to life, and did get there. But I'd say on usually if you can allow at least 10% of that time to like really innovate and push, that's amazing. So what are we up to 70%? There's also
110% is where we're landing, right? Oh, it's always 110%.
I mean, obviously you have the execution and on-site is a huge part of that piece. Like you got to pull that into there, but I mean, I don't know if that's like really the buildup of it. But again, I think motivation is a huge part of it. That has to be a part of our team. Like that's at least probably 10% of the time is like motivating people. Like, where's the product? Where's the creative? We need to keep on a positive end. Cause you can see people's reaction when they're starting to feel low. Like you can feel that energy, and what can you do to help bring that up? I'd say on the postmortem, this is an area of opportunity for us 100%. I would like to see that be at least like 7-8% of the time, like you're hitting that mark, but it often ends up being like maybe 1%, and becomes very superficial. Like a recap meeting should be more than just like listing off, this is what we did. Let's talk about what we did. How can we improve? What are those areas of opportunity that we can really delve into, which are hard conversations because everyone's tired and they want to say it's great, but the only way we get better is by pushing and finding those areas. That's where you're going to see the success as you continue to grow and get those.
Plus they're probably on to the next event, right? Like they're on to the next thing. And like
they are.
The last thing they want to do is go back to the last event.
That's 100%. That's exactly right. I was touching base with, I'm like, I don't see the recap meetings on here. Where's that? Where's the analytics we need to pull? And we need to put that together so we're able to pull on that even then next year if it's an anniversary event that they're working on. I don't think I gave you 100% of the
I think we're okay. I'm not going to go back and like let's go back in the episode and record our numbers.
In finance. Yeah, I'm not a finance person. I do a lot of budgets though.
So I'll say, in the spirit of pie charts and percentages, what I'm about to say right now is probably like somewhere between 17 and 23% shameless self promotion and 83% maybe this will help. Like maybe this will help because I love where you're going on the wow factor and creating criteria to make sure you're hitting it. And to your point, it shouldn't be like break glass before emergency. Whereas the wow factor, it should be part of the criteria of everything you do. So like the way that you were just in Chicago. I feel like I've been living in Chicago. We've been doing a lot of cool stuff for Kraft Heinz. And the way Courageous looks at stuff, it's always through the lens of courage. So our definition is knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage. And it needs to be all three. So knowledge and faith with no action is paralysis. Faith and action without knowledge is reckless. And knowledge and action without faith, if you're just numb on the inside, you're working on status quo and you're not going to get that wow factor. So another way we talk about it, this is the think component, which one of my partners runs. There's a feel component, which I run, and there's a do component, right? Think, feel, do. Who Nicole Miller, you love her. Shout out to Nicole, also from Ohio, by the way. She runs the action side of the business. So look, you're called experiential marketing. That means there's an experience that's happening. Did somebody actually experience what you were trying to experience? That's the feel, like that's the wow factor. And it's like, how do you make sure you don't just put this event on and this isn't you, this is the metaphorical you, and that wow factor is happening. And I imagine when you have like Steph Curry at your fingertips or whomever else, people must be so excited just to like spend a few minutes, or Tom Brady or whoever it might be. Is that the wow factor? Is the wow factor always start with, hey, this amazing athlete who's a overachiever on a field or court? Is that how it starts?
I think that's a plus always. And I think you, in that realm, from working with athletes, so like my entire career, I think you can use as an aspect, but you also learn like that's also a, sometimes a question like, are they going to show up or what time are they going to be here? I'm not going to build an entire event. Like people still say like, can we announce who's here? I'm like, no, because we don't know unless it's like a specific Stephen Curry event or whatever, but I'm like, we don't know 100% if they're going to be here. I can't like tell you 100% that person's going to show up. So is that always an added benefit? Yes, but I don't think that's to me, that's not the wow. To me, that is like a really, really nice added benefit to be like, okay, yeah, we have Tom Brady coming on. That is like a great thing. But also you want to be respectful of them and what they're comfortable with. And some personalities, I'll say athletes I work mostly with, like are not comfortable in that stage. They are not someone who's very like extroverted or want to be like out there in the face, and they might just want to come say hello. So I think building an entire wow moment around that without knowing your personality could be a detriment to your event if you didn't like know who they were or what the time or what they were committing to. And even sometimes if they commit, that might not just be a strong point for them. I think that that is an added plus that helps elevate, but I don't think it becomes the moment or the piece that is wow.
So I definitely hear kids in the background. So I have to ask, oh, it's all good. How many kids? What are the ages?
I thought I had the door closed on that one. I have two girls. One's about to be 5 in Wednesday. So I'll have a 5-year-old and I have a 2-year-old.
No starting five, huh?
No. I would never mind starting 5 though. I love kids. Probably does come from it, but I have a lot of nieces and nephews. But they're fun. They actually are really fun. And I told them, be quiet. Shh.
Oh, they're fine. I look, I have a 7-year-old as of today. She turned 7 today.
Oh,
And
happy
then
birthday.
yes,
Leo.
and a 9-year-old, and it only gets better. All right, so I gotta ask, did you learn this rule by experience or by a great mentor?
Experience for sure. Yeah, I mean,
Do tell.
I mean, there's too many to tell. But yeah, I think that, well, one, I've learned, like literally have had athletes come up to me from behind being like, I'm not comfortable in this situation. I'm like, this is not the best time to be telling me this right here, right now, when we have 3,000 people out there. But then I've also had like experience where I've had athletes and, VIP events, and they're talking to me, and I'm like, God, okay, you're a half hour late. You're 45 minutes late. You're an hour late. I'm not sure where to go. Do you know that huge building you play in on Sunday? Drive towards that. Just drive towards the lake. Just drive towards the lake. I'm like, I'll have someone there. Wait, go to that building where you play on Sunday. That's where this is going to happen. So, um, yeah, I think that one, it's important to know that, like, relationships, like we mentioned, I think it goes back to that whole thing with relationships. Like, you have to build them with the athletes. You have to build that trust. You have to experience that. And even when that happens, still, it's like, everyone does have, life happens. You and I've experienced that, where things happen. Someone gets sick or something happens and you're unable to make it. So always a contingency plan is always a contingency plan. And sometimes you have to go to like contingency plan C, and you're just like winging it on the field. You're like, we're moving to this right now because this is all we got. And I think, as long as, a lot of times people don't know, like in certain situations, like I've been like really pressed, but a lot of times people don't know. And as long as you can keep moving things along, keep being quick on your feet, that's a huge part of what we do. You can cover up a lot of things.
All right. If I was able to pull your entire team anonymously, of course, because we want the truth, and I said, give me 3 words to describe Beth, and they all sent in their emails to me, what 3 words am I getting from them? What are the top 3?
I think we said it before. I think I'm very empathetic, but I think it comes from, I think you have to be vested in your team, and you have to let them know you care, and then you're going to receive amazing work. And I truly feel that on my team. I think that they probably say, this is not necessarily one word, but I have high expectations from them. And I think they appreciate that, maybe not always, but there are high expectations. And they'll say fun. I like to have fun. I say that word a lot. It's simple. It's a simple word, but it's big in what we do. Like, if we are not at Johns Hopkins brain surgeons. We have amazing people in this city who are at Johns Hopkins that are helping on many things. We're not. And so let's have some fun with this. And the more you can do that, I think it shows in your work. And it could be just even us doing a team retreat. But if we're able to have fun and allow each other to have fun, I think that then helps make the situation better. It's better for them when we're doing that, when you're traveling away from your family, your dog, your yoga studio. Like, my team has to be on the road a lot. So I need them to know that, like, it's good to, like, go try out that new restaurant in Chicago, go take that spin class, go meet up with a friend, go experience a new art gallery opening in a cool city. Like, by us doing that, we're able to create, I think, not only like a good relationship between us, but then even within our event. And that, to me, then transcends, and people are able to feel that.
Well, I love that. I love that nudge. I wouldn't call it a challenge. I love the nudge. And I do think it's a fascinating time to be you and in your space, because, like you said, like, you have all these athletes that are not just athletes anymore, right? They're all creators. They're all designers. They want to be seen for their creativity. They want to be seen for more than just they play basketball or they throw a football. And, we're at this amazing time where we all now are filmmakers. We have this thing in our pocket called a phone that basically isn't a phone anymore. It's everything but a phone. It allows me to snap amazing pictures or film my own movie. And so that challenge or nudge, when you look at your team and say, remember how creative these athletes are. Do they see themselves as athletes, by the way, first now? Or what are they, multifaceted? I mean, any
Yeah.
insight there?
I mean, I think that's a great call. You mentioned Stephen Curry. Like, again, I can't speak on their behalf, but I would say they are so well tuned to what's going on within the world. Like you said, from like the social to like businessmen and women, innovators. It's definitely changed a lot in the 20 years I've been doing this, where you think your only goal is to like perform on the court, the field, the pitch, whatever you may be on, the ice. I I do think that they have had a lot of added almost like responsibilities to like keep driving that way, to whether it's, getting new content or drawing more viewers and different sponsorships that they're getting. A lot of that relates all that, they're all intertwined. So You do probably, I'm trying to think of a sport that doesn't really even roll with that, but almost everyone I can think of is somehow intertwined with all of these different areas now. You almost need to be. That's a huge change since I've started on, is all of how that's evolved.
So is that even more of a reason to be like, hey, let's turn it up a notch? Is it an art gallery? Is it a like let's bring some of that special into the table here and like figure out like the best way to do something different?
Yeah,
And I imagine the athlete appreciate that too. Like the last thing they
yeah.
want to do is just show up, snap a few pictures for the half hour or hour they're there. They're all for probably a little bit of uniqueness. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, definitely some are, and some probably do just want to get their time commitment in. But I would say most probably are appreciative, and actually, we do get some really great comments when it's like, "Oh, that was cool," or "I really liked how we did that," or "That interaction was, that was neat." So I do think that we've seen a lot of success there.
So starting out in like television, radio, and bringing your camera around everywhere, and look at where you are now, and you're running experiential. Like, is this how you thought it would go?
No, I that's one thing I always tell people, even when I'm interviewing them. What that 8:30 call I had this morning was an interview. Um, I said that don't be afraid. Like my path is not straight. I have never had a straight path. I've gone around and I thought I wanted to be an athletic director, and that's why I got my MBA. That's why I went to Ohio State. And I was like, well, I really don't, not really into fundraising. That's not so much my thing. And then I found out athletic directors do a ton of that, they have to raise a ton of money. That's so I think it's really interesting to like follow your passion. And if you're interested in something, pursue it, whether it's classes or learning or taking just talking to people. That's really great about what we have now in these open lines of communication. So I definitely I wouldn't have said I was going to be right here. I'm super happy I am right here. It's taught me a lot. And even like the when a new opportunity presents itself, I'm always like, okay, how's this going to help me grow or change? That's exactly when I came to UA. I'd only been with teams, and I was like, this would be really cool to work for a public company. It'd be really cool to challenge myself on a more global scale. And I've really appreciated that UA's afforded that to me and had some really cool moments with it.
All right, yeah, we're coming down to the end here. Yeah, I'm not surprised this was a fast 45. Um, those two boxes that you set for yourself to tick years ago, NFL, Olympics. So if you were going to create two more boxes for your future, and I'm not saying you need to go the hey wildly like hey I want to do an event on the moon. Amazing, by the way. I'm in for that. But like, are there two other boxes? Is there a professional one? Is there a personal one that you can share?
Yeah. I'd say one of my biggest one is I talk to my daughters about this a lot, and it's one of the things I have is like being purpose. Like, how can we help with our purpose um, in others' lives? And so I think that to me, it's really important that whether we volunteer weekly with the homeless shelter, I think I would like to find more ways of incorporation of that within our events. It doesn't necessarily have to be within UA events, within events that I do. I think that from that, it's to me, I think that starts lending to itself to like what is like what is that like higher overarching power that you want to kind of do good with. I mean, as you get older, you start thinking like it's not just about what's great and what's hot, but like how can you like really help others, and how are you able to like lend kindness. Again, that's like I have fun, but kindness is a big word we use a lot here in this household. I'm like, being kind is very easy, but it's not for a lot of people. And so I would love that personally. It's to continue down that path. I think I'm always growing in that area. Professionally, yeah, I mean, there's some big things I would love to do. One of my questions I always ask, if anyone's listening on this, it's and I'm going to interview. I always am like, what if you could do an event for an unlimited budget? I have some really cool ideas that I would love to do, like just like, these 24-hour events that are happening and stuff like that. So I would love to get one of those off. It's going to happen sometime. I'm just not exactly sure when. I've a couple things that are always popping up, but that's something that in my world that I would love to do. Just the planning of it would be crazy. But again, I think it does meld too with some of the things, everything, it does meld that like purpose, and this would kind of meld together in that piece, in that place.
Yeah, it feels like a perfect purpose opportunity, right? Like it can weave in
Yeah.
all the things you're talking about. Well, look, this has been an awesome 45. I took a lot from our time together. Three like huge sort of themes really pop for me. One is that like life can be messy. It isn't linear. Like, like you said, like where you start and where you land, people didn't think that's where they would. You're still sort of in the same arena.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I don't consider, it's weird because people here would say they feel like they work in sports. I mean, I think we work with sports. I don't think I work in sports. So that's a little my mindset from being there, but definitely still within the sports world. Um, just not like necessarily for a team. So I think I work with, not like in.
The second one that I took away is the cliche of life is a marathon, not a sprint, and don't let the other girl beat you for a car. But really, the big takeaway on this one, which I love, and it's not the cliche. It's like play the long game. Always play the long game. Don't cut corners on your values. Don't cut corners on who you are. If you just put in the work and play the long game, give yourself permission that it could be messy. We're back to number one. Good things can come of it. And number three, and this sort of like skirted by near the end of the episode, but I think it deserves more love than it got, is that I like how you said, hey, is this going to give me an opportunity to grow and change? And so life is nothing more than an opportunity to grow and change. And for those who have listened in the past, my number one personal value is optimism. So like that plays so well to who I am, that like even some stuff that isn't perfect or isn't going to go great is really an opportunity to grow. What do I learn from it? Sometimes I wear my shirt, mistake it till you make it. I love that mentality too. And so those were like my three big takeaways. Although I really actually liked I work with sports, not in sports. There's a lot to unpack there as well, but maybe that'll be an episode for another time. Beth, like any last thoughts you'd like to share with us before we wrap?
No, I love the platform that you're bringing. And I too feel I'm very much glass is half full. I think that kind of like mentality does breed some like really amazing things that happening in life, whether it's pushing us or like just even the kindness factor. So I'm very appreciative of the platform that you've let me speak here and for what you all do.
Oh, keep doing what you're doing. Like, I'm excited. Let's try to get in the same city again. It's been too long since
I know.
16.
I know. I think we all gave ourselves a little break with COVID. Like that was just craziness. Like I literally I'm like, what? Like that whole like area of time is hard to like place. I'm like, oh gosh, it has been that long, because that like 2.5 years just kind of like wiped things out.
Yeah, it's somewhere between like like Matrix, like red pill, blue pill,
Yeah.
or Inception, right? Like
Yeah.
if those two had a baby, that was like that 3 or 4 or however many year
Yes.
period it has been. All right, Beth, thanks so much for joining. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the time, Ryan.